Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 1, Southampton 0 in what can only be described as a tense affair at Goodison Park. Baz. But you know what? Ultimately, all that matters is Everton got 3 points. And and we did what we've sort of been asking us to do, which was score first and then defend properly, I suppose, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, isn't it, this time of the year?
Yeah, the win was the most important thing, obviously coming off the back of the derby. It was important to follow it up with a victory and a game that we should win on paper. And we haven't done very well with games we should win on paper at Goodison in the last few weeks. So the result was far more important. As frustrating as the performance was at times, the result was the be-all and end-all, and we've won the game and another clean sheet, so you can't really moan. It's about getting points on the board.
Yeah. A very youthful bench.
Incredibly youthful bench, wasn't it?
Yeah. Funny to see some of those names on there. I wouldn't have expected them when really we've been talking about how much of a clean bill of health we suddenly had with Alan's return, and only really Gabaman out, to be honest. I mean, we don't really mention Delph.
No.
He's not
point
to be considered. But suddenly it was just full of kids.
It was. Ashley and Kyle's young, on there. So, yeah. Broadhead was there
Yango
as well, yeah. And obviously,
Virginia.
Yango's been on there.
No, I know, I'm just saying, there's Virginia on there as well.
Well, when you looked at the bench, we had 3 subs, really, didn't we? That he would. No, but you did, when you looked at it, there was Bernard, Iwobi, and Josh King.
Yeah.
After that, it was kids, what you were relying on, young players. So, thankfully, we didn't have to use them anyway. Yeah, I mean, obviously, no James, no Tom Davies. They were the big two. Seamus Coleman, injured again, which is a bit of a worry. We knew Yerry Mina was out. Robin Olsen got a little bit of an issue as well. So 4 or 5 out. But we've had injuries all season. This is what makes me laugh when I hear clubs bemoaning injuries. Other clubs with bigger squads than Everton bemoaning that they'd have done this or that if they wouldn't have had these injuries. And yet we've had Alan out for almost 3 months. We had Luca Dean out for 2.5 months, almost 3 months. We've had James missing like a third of our games at least. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's missed games, Charlison missed games. So Everton have had injuries all season. Jordan Pickford's even been injured. I think we've had practically every player, bar Decore so far this season has been injured. So, we've done really well to remain where we are, and it was the case again last night.
Yeah. Going in against a team like Southampton, it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because I really didn't know which way it was going to go in terms of, I know they've lost a lot of games, but it can be, that doesn't always mean it's going to be... It
worked out well against Newcastle, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't always mean it's going to be an easy ride for Everton. So it was so important that we got that early goal, wasn't it? And it really was the only genuine piece of class, I thought, in the entire game, in terms of the ball from Sigurdsson and the finish from Richarlison. Maybe if they'd done better with that chance they had late on, when they moved from one side of the pitch to the other and the lad put it wide, that would have been a good goal if they'd scored that. Yeah. But it was our only genuine, real piece of class in the entire game, and it was just good that it come early, and it meant that we could all settle down a little bit and didn't have to go through the pain I suppose we felt during the other games where, when teams that we should be beating, we haven't gone out and took advantage of that. So it was nice to just get that goal. And it was a really good goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can't pretend that we're playing good football.
No.
Because we're not. And it's very functional with what we're doing. I still don't think we shoot enough.
Yeah.
I think the options there lots of times for us to get shots away, and we don't test goalkeepers. And I'm a great believer you should be peppering loads of shots in a goal because anything can happen. We've really dropped off of late. But the goal was fantastic. Great ball by Jordan Pickford, switched it. you know, aim for Dom. Dom wins the first one, then wins the second one. And Sigurdsson's touch is superb, brings it down, and then a little round the corner. Very reminiscent of James' pass to Richarlison in the last game. You know, a really lovely little ball. And Richarlison does brilliant run. Rounds the keeper, knocks it in. And it's a great goal and a great finish. You're always looking, aren't you? You're having to wait a little bit. You celebrate, like, but it's like, yeah, we're still celebrating, it's all right. And it was the only real, I mean, we had a couple of moments where we recreated moves like that and we seemed to get ourselves in good positions, and then we chose the wrong pass, whereas, you know, if we'd have squared it the other way, that someone would have been in. We had that a couple of times in the first half. But it was important to get the first goal. And we got the goal and it settled us down. And to be honest, I thought we'd run away with it then. We had all the game then after that, until, ironically, till Michael Keane's goal got disallowed.
Yeah, definitely.
And then from that moment, it was almost like they thought, we've got away with one there, even though he was offside.
Well, it can be, those things can be a momentum changer, can't they? You know, it's funny when people talk about last week in the derby and the penalty, and you think, you know, that was a pivotal part of that game, because if we'd missed that penalty, that suddenly that energises them. You get it. We've all done it in football. Boost, when you get away with one, you'd always take a boost from it. And you know, the second goal for me, obviously the one that was disallowed. You know, lovely move and saying how it was created. Holgate goes a little bit early. Doesn't really have to go early. Does really well to knock it back and Keane. And I just thought, and you're right, that gives them the little bit of impetus. But I just thought if that we'd gone 2-0 up then, we would have put them to the sword. I really believe that, because I felt like there was a little bit of a nervousness after that of stick or twist. We desperate for that home win on its own. We know how important that home win is, and it was just a case of let's get through this game. And they're always going to have a couple of moments, of course. But I thought if that had gone in, I think we just would have just took over that game. We would have had a calmness about us, composure. Their heads would have absolutely completely gone, because you could see that anyway. You know, you could see that with Ings. Ings was all over the pitch looking for the ball, because
never a threat though, was he?
No, that's what I'm saying. He was all over the pitch because he was desperate to just get on the ball, and every time he got hold of the ball, something good come from him in terms of setting other people up. He put a great cross in. For them, he'd want to be on the other end of it. You could see that desperation with them. So we were, apart from a couple of moments, we were never in threat, and it was just a shame that we couldn't go on and really, you know, extend our lead and put it to bed early and calm the nerves down.
Well, we had the chance with Richarlison as well, and the irony with that one is with the second one, which Forster saved. The irony of it was, if Richarlison misses it, Michael Keane has a tap-in. There's three of our players are on the road, and they're all onside.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate that Richarlison got something on it, because I think if he'd have missed the Keane, they'd have just tapped it in. And we had a couple of those moments where we got in, and again, it was just the wrong choice. And we had one where Luca Dean stood it up to the back post, whereas every other one he'd fired across. Dom made a great run, and if it had been a normal one, he'd have scored. And there was those moments, but I do think they grew a little bit when that second goal was disallowed, because it was sort of like, God, we could have been out of this game and we're still in it. And they didn't really do anything, but they just had more of the ball. I mean, there was one moment in the first half with Ben Godfrey and Che Adams, which you kind of went, but when you watch it again, Adams pulls him down first and then he stumbles. But I mean, you know, it could have gone the other way.
Every Liverpool fan who was watching the game was shouting, how's that different from?
It was different though, wasn't it? But you can see what was happening. But then, again, for Everton, I just thought, you're right, you're absolutely right. It was you could see that it was like, right, what we have, we protect now. Whereas if we'd have gone 2-0 up, I think the shackles would have come off from the players, not necessarily the manager, because I still feel like a lot of the problems with this team comes from the players themselves, in terms of what they're doing on the pitch. You can see that with Carlo. He's like, Carlo Ancelotti gets frustrated sometimes with what we're doing. But I feel like if the second one would have stood, we would have, the core would have started getting forward a bit more.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can see that we're almost our own worst enemy at times. when we have the ball, we never look comfortable in possession. We never just want to...
Safety first.
It always goes back. There's never we never play through midfield. And this is, I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe a couple of better players, a couple of better options who are comfortable on the ball. But we never look comfortable. See, like last night, obviously Alan came back into the team. But I still felt like we needed a Tom Davies to sit in front of the back four so him and Decore could go and do what they wanted. Because even though, I know we're going to talk about Alan later, but even that time, times he'd be sitting right in front of the back four, but then he would go away from that position and leave that hole, because that's what he does, and that's where Tom's been doing so well. And I just felt like we just needed that player in midfield, or to just get hold of the ball and move it and get it back and move it and get it back and keep the ball and go. The amount of times last night we give the ball away in positions where, okay, not necessarily it was going to hurt us, but it was like, well, if we kept the ball a little bit more there, we would have worked ourselves into a good position. But it kept on breaking down, and just you can understand why we're better away and why when we have less possession, we win more games of football, because it just suits us more, because when we're still not a team comfortable with having possession, we're going through the gears, we're going up the pitch, because it feels like we don't have a player who can just go bang bang and get it, switch it, or the right back who's flying, or a winger who's flying forward who makes that switch. We're still a functional team rather than an exciting team with exciting parts. And it's going to take a couple more players, I think, rather than the personnel we've got now.
I just think we're too slow in our transitions. That's what it is. It's safety first. You've got players who are good footballers. We had one early on for Andre Gomez. It was a world-class pass. And it just was such a header. I think it was Dom, and I didn't know whether Dom kind of...
Dom was offside.
Was he off? But it just looked... But the pass was absolutely... Curled it right round into his path. And I thought, if he could have done that a couple more times, that's his ability, Gomez. But too often, even though I thought he was good last night...
Yeah, I did.
Too often, it's... I can do something with the ball, and now I'll spin back and we'll start again. And I think we've got too much of that from our players at times. I think you're right. If we had a right back that wanted to fly beyond the halfway line, Mason Holgate had so much. I thought he defended really well last night. I've seen people saying they didn't think he played well. I thought he was excellent. Going forward, we know he's not great. He doesn't seem to... I think he's worried about leaving gaps, so he doesn't just commit.
He does his job.
But I think if he's going to play there, though, there's got to be times he has to commit. He's got to.
Especially with last night, with it being such a narrow midfield as well.
He's got to. And I think if he would have done and pushed on a bit, even if you're just smashing it against people's shins and getting corners, you've got to be an outlet. But there was a lot of space on that side. But the core didn't kind of seem to... It was almost, you're right, it was like, but we keep what we've got and be compact. Which is fine. We've said that. Maybe if we'd have done that in other games, we'd have had 3 or 4 more points. And when you've taken 1 point out of 15 at home, you're looking and going, we've just got to get these wins. So, Southampton were busy, like we thought they would be. Armstrong was up and down. They pressed high. They've got Ward-Prowse, dangerous off corners and set pieces. We know that.
Well, Dom in the first half,
because
he Ward-Prowse whipped a great one in, and Dom got there near post and headed out.
I was laughing though, because I was watching the zone, and that they put that up as Southampton's chance in the first half, was Dom heading a cross away. I was thinking, fair enough. All right, if that's how well they've done, that it's a cross into the box and he's headed it out for a corner, then fine. Wouldn't really class that as a chance, but hey, it is what it is. But it is that. It will take better players. It'll take players who are more attacking minded, players who can hit. We would have had James Rodriguez.
We've seen it from James, how comfortable he is on a ball, where he takes a situation where you think, well, there's nothing he can do with this. And he keeps the ball alive and he keeps it going.
Do you know what I thought the problem was with us last night a little bit? Was Richarlison's positioning. And it was thought it was really key for the first goal, where he was central.
Yeah, because
we got him in because Dom had moved.
Dom's not going to score that kind of goal. We know that.
But then he just went back to the left. And it was like, we've got to find a way. Because I thought we almost started off in a diamond. So we had Allen at the base of the diamond, we had Gomez looking after the left side, the Corey to the right, and we had Gylfi Sigurdsson here. And Richarlison was just sort of in this area, and I think if he would have maybe come closer to Dom and let Gylfi have a right or a left, you know what I mean, a pass here or a pass here, I think it would have opened them. Luka Dean was offering the width anyway, and I was reading his numbers out to you before, he had a good game as well. I know we didn't get the width from the right with Holgate, but I still feel like when we have the ball in those central areas, we've got to get Richarlison closer to the goal. He's proved that he's got.
Yeah.
I mean, it was his 11th goal of the season last night in all competitions. And when you're thinking, you're talking a few weeks ago, he had 6. And you're going, it's not good enough. He's a 5 and 5 now. So if we can get him closer to the goal, it'll give them problems, and it'll give other teams problems.
Problem with Richarlison is that it's not a problem actually. It's the problem of Richarlison is that when he plays on the left, he's very, very busy and he carries the ball, but then you go, well, where's the goals? And then when he's playing up front, then you suddenly realise there's no one carrying the ball from midfield, transitioning. And obviously we see that on the right as well. And it's a difficult, this is one of those things where, like, since November, December time, I've been like quite a lot more relaxed with the situation because I just think the players that we need, we do not own. And it's you know, I've said a right back, you said a winger, we could do with both. We simply don't own the players that can make the team better. We've seen how the manager has changed things. We've seen him put Tom in there and be that little block, and we've seen, you know, playing with 4 centre backs, but we simply don't have those players that will make this team better. So we're getting through. We're making the most of what we've got. It's frustrating at times. A team like Southampton, really, we should be putting them to bed. But like we've said, it's the nerves, and the team it doesn't always fit together. But it genuinely finds a way.
There's quality in the team. That's why. The thing with Everton is, and I think it's the thing that I'm slowly working on as well. You know, you've all got your bits to work on, haven't you? And mine is don't worry about other teams. Now I'm really trying to do that. Now I'm just going, we've just got to win our games, forget about everything else. But also it's the thing that it frustrates me when we can't pass a ball. It frustrates me when other teams look like they're better than us. They're not, but they just look, they're easier on the
Put it this way, right? Brighton are a much better footballing side than Everton. There, I've just said it. They can't score goals.
No.
They can't stop goals from going in.
No.
The fifth
they haven't got the quality we've got.
The fifth from bottom. But you know what? They can pass the ball around great.
But we did under
Martinez.
Martinez.
Football, isn't it? Yeah.
We did under Martinez. We were superb at winning the possession. You know, win the passing under Martinez. We'd look like a great side till we got to the final third. And then if Ron didn't score, that was it, wasn't it? We were done. And we certainly couldn't keep the ball out the net under Martinez. So you have to trade things off. And I think you're right. I think you look at it and the players who Everton need to go to the next level, you're right, we haven't got them in the squad. We don't own them. We look at people like, you know, you can look at the centre-backs out and go, well, we've got good central defenders, so we can get him fit, we'll be all right. And if we can get Allen back and James is fit, it'll give us that extra. But the other bits we don't own. We don't own a flying right back anymore. Seamus Coleman, as great as he was against Liverpool, and he's injured again, so you know, it's about his 4th or 5th injury, and he's getting older, so obviously we know we need something new there. Mason Holgate defensive as a right-back sound, offers nothing going forward, so we know we need something there. We simply don't have a winger who you can play a ball in behind, you can get in behind and create. Richarlison is a wide striker when he plays out there, isn't he? He's a wide striker. He doesn't create loads of chances, does he?
I'll tell you one key thing of that, right? You just mentioned yourself. In the last 2 games, how many corners have we had?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We had 2, I think.
Exactly. I think we had 1 against Liverpool.
We had 1 against Liverpool.
I think because, and that's what.
And yet we've scored the most off.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you have a player, and I think we tried tried to bang them off the legs, but just didn't. But it's little things like that. It's little things that actually they did quite well last night. Yeah. And it is that thing in the last minute of having someone who can get up the line for you. They had that kid who came on, I think, he skinned Dean once, got a free kick, and then got a couple of corners. And it is that thing of sometimes having a player who can come on. And Iwobi did really well when he came on just to keep the possession.
Iwobi's numbers back.
I know.
Dribbles and everything. That one, he done that mad trick round 3 of them.
He had the third, he had 3 take-ons, which was the most of anyone in the game. And he was only on for 11 minutes. But that's what I'm saying. You need a player sometimes who can just win you corners, win you the free kicks on the edge of the area, just because we're really good at them, and it's telling when we are narrow that doesn't always happen. So there's a lot of little things that we need to add to our game. But as I said it's
solidity-wise, we're very good. I thought Godfrey was much better last night at centre-back as well. I thought he's starting to positionally sort himself. Michael Keane was excellent again. I thought defensively we were fine. There was only one Dean committed himself once.
Was the one.
And the lad left him for dead. He left him for dead in the first half as well when he crossed it and it got blocked. So but look, you know what, Luca Dean, Baines was the same. Baines sometimes would get done like by a quick winger, but in general he was such a great footballer, it didn't really matter. And Luca Dean actually had a very good game. So we did, you come over the second half and you think, right, let's step it up because these are here for the taking. And we never quite could because we were, like you say, a little bit. It was like in that midfield, you've got Gomez who had a decent, was good, but a lot of it is just, there's no substance to it. It's like keeping it, turning, passing. It's all very good and he's strong and he buys you time, but from a creative aspect, it's not there. Gylfi Sigurdsson, the one real moment of quality in the game came from him. But he wasn't in the game second half. He worked hard. He pressed brilliantly.
Same thing.
He worked really hard. Him and Dom I thought were really good at the back, not giving them putting pressure on them, the Charleston. But we just never got him in areas where he could either get shots away or create. And I think that's where the difference comes.
That's not criticism, by the way. That is just called observation because he just didn't have the ball.
No, and I think for Everton to go up, you can look at Everton's squad and go, he's a good player, and he's a good player, and he's a good player. But it's whether the blend is there, and it's the right blend. And I think for Everton, we've said before, Gomez and Sigurdsson doesn't really work in the midfield. Manzi didn't have many choices last night, so he had to play it, but it doesn't really work in the midfield.
It worked better because one is over there and one is over there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're looking at what because what I'm doing is looking forward and going, right, we've got good players in this team. How do we move it forward? And we move it forward by having better players. And it doesn't necessarily mean those two players aren't good enough for Everton. It just means the way the team's built. One of them you get away with, or one can play in. If Andre Gomez was one of the three midfielders, and yet we had a right winger who could catch pigeons and stretch teams. Catch chickens, pigeons probably a bit easier.
Both.
Who could get in behind. Then Gomez would be able to switch the play and get someone in. But when everything's narrow, it's the same. And then if you had Gylfi Sigurdsson in that role, and you've got wingers crossing over, or a flying fullback, it opens the pitch up the same we see with Hammers. It's just, from a creative aspect, it's not
You mentioned
quite there.
Gomez there. Let's just look at his numbers there. 56 touches, 77% accuracy with his passes.
Completed 100% of his long balls there.
6 out of 6.
50% of his ground duels won. 7 out of 14, and he won there 4 out of 5 aerial duels, 80% on his aerial duels, which I did see him winning a few headers actually. So I mean, we've got Matt's put improving there, and he certainly is. I thought he started the season quite well, the opening 4 or 5 games, and then he faded again, didn't he? And he looked a little bit lost. But I think slowly over the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks, he's starting to look a bit more like himself.
Do you know the thing about Gomez is, you just said the right word there. It is like it's the blend. It's the blend of the people around him. Last night he had Allen and he had the Corey. So like at the beginning, the start of the season, the energy's all there. You know when we've been talking about Tom the last few weeks. We've been raving about Tom, but Tom's not someone who bursts around the pitch, and Gomez is the same. Gomez sort of lumbers around the pitch. But last night, in that role, he played some lovely balls. The one you mentioned first half, Dom sort of is offside, and Dom then gets himself back onside, and Dom's never sure whether he's onside, so he doesn't really commit. But he was one in the second half. He played one round the corner to Richarlison down the wing, and it was a lovely, and it was just lovely little passes like that. But there was also times when he was just getting his body goal side, winning the ball back, and then starting again. And there was just little moments like that where that's all you want from him. That's, like we said it loads of times, that's the kind of player he is now. I don't think he'll ever be that player that we all want him to be, that player that we all seen him at Valencia when he used to pick up the ball and drive. For one reason or another, whether it's injuries have took its toll on him or I don't
confidence
or whatever, he's never going to be that player again.
I just want him to take a few more chances. I think he's a good enough. His touch is great. He's strong on the ball. He's not the quickest. We know that. So maybe not try to dribble past 3 because you haven't got the pace to get away. But I want him to start passing the ball forward a bit more. And maybe it is just a blend. And maybe if we did have that option over on the right-hand side, he would be able to switch the play. Like I've said, him and Gylfi Sigurdsson, for me, ideally wouldn't be in the same Everton side because just neither of them are quick enough. I think the midfield has proven that against even average sides who've got mobile midfielders, they struggle. But
I mean, obviously, listen, we didn't really do anything second half. We had the chance.
Michael Keane flashed the header wide off a free kick, which he was on. I thought he was off, but he was on side.
It was Dom's attempt, and then Godfrey's, which looked like it was on target, but then one of their defenders headed it away.
That one, though, when we had a free kick and it bent in and Keane headed it and it was just curling towards. I thought Dom was just going to guide it in and he couldn't get there. The one that led to Godfrey having the header, but as it went back across goal, you're just waiting for someone to head it in. I think if it was that moment of can we get the second, and if we do, everything will just calm down. We'll be able to play a bit of football, and it never came.
But they had a couple of chances. The one we said before, the big one, I think was about the 84th. It was a great Armstrong. Really looks a good player. Armstrong carries the ball really well, but it was a lovely switch of play, and someone with a bit of class puts that top corner. Luckily enough, the kid hasn't got that kind of class. No, he hasn't got that kind of class.
He's a decent player.
Nobody hasn't got the kind of class to just finish a top corner. He tried to. It's
close.
And then the last minute, obviously, they're getting loads of stupid set pieces, which we should have done. Really, this is where giving the ball away just burns my head out. When players, there was one. I think it was after this chance, but there was one on the edge of the box where the corner had it, and all he had to do was smash it down the line, and he tried to play it inside to someone, and it's like, what are you doing?
Michael Keane could have sent one down the line, tried to dummy Danny Ings and lost the ball, and they ended up getting a corner from it.
And you're like,
and you're going,
only takes,
what are you doing?
It only takes one little decent corner, and it's in the back of the net. But obviously one of the corners came in, bit of pinball in the box. I think Michael Keane didn't get a clean connection on it. It hits the back of someone and then it falls to their centre back. And luckily enough, Jordan Pickford made a big save. I'm not taking anything away from him. The lad was sort of slipping, but Pickford
was on target though.
Pickford made himself big. Listen, goalkeepers sometimes that can go in because the goalkeeper does the wrong thing. So big save.
When it broke to him, you just thought 1-1, didn't you? The lad's on his own with the goalkeeper. You thought 1-1. He's only had to tap it and it's in, and Pickford makes a great save. And it was brilliant. You've kept yourself alert. All I will say, which I'm not taking anything away because it was a really good save, but the corner that come in, he flapped that, and you know what? The corner come in, and it was like that moment you said. He knocked it down. Wasn't a great punch, but he knocked it down. Godfrey can smash that down the line, and I don't know. Someone must say, my ball. So he pulls out and he kicks it out for a corner again, and you're like, they've got another corner when we'd have had and it was literally the last kick of the game.
I thought Pickford had a really good game.
No, he was good. Kicking was superb.
Kicking was absolutely superb last night. So one save in the box, 3 punches, passing 78%, long balls
16 out of 26.
And I thought his distribution was brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean it helps set up the first goal, the goal. But even though when the punch, he gets knocked down. The punch isn't great, but he gets knocked down, he gets stood on, and he's up. And the one he makes the save, if you watch it, I think what's really important about that is, if you watch it, the lad on the edge of the box shoots, and he goes to dive, and he's on the floor, and he gets himself up. Yeah. And I think that's a really important part of what we've been talking on the last few weeks. Certainly, if you go back to the Leicester game of not recovering from what's happened before. Now, I'm not saying he's done anything wrong in that, but he's on the floor, and to get up and be there and make himself big, I thought that was really important. And we spoke about last week the idea of him doing things and then getting up and having the drink or whatever he's using to keep his mind on it. And I thought that was there last night again. Really, he looked on it all the time. He looked like there was nothing else going on. He was fully in the game.
Manager said, didn't he, after the game, calm and focused for the game. And if that's something they've had to work on, we've seen it with goalkeepers. Tim Abbott, They'd get up and kick the post and all that. It's like a reset the thing in your mind. And I noticed when he made that save, he wasn't all the histrionics of punch in the air, and he was just up, and he was the one actually going like, that's how people get organised and hopefully, I've said it all along, there's a good goalkeeper there. He is a good goalie. It's his other stuff that has made you question whether he's good enough if Everton want to win things. And you know what? I don't know if he is good enough if Everton want to win things. We'll only know by him continuing to play well.
He has consistency, doesn't he?
But no issues with him last night. Another great performance. He was superb at Anfield and he carried it on. And it's back-to-back clean sheet is a big thing. Yeah. It's a huge thing. The first clean sheet, we've had the Goodison since December the 12th in the league. So when we beat Chelsea. So it's a big thing, and for him, it'll make him feel good. And you know, to come up big like that, he's made 2 match-winning saves in the last 2 games for us.
He has. No, he has.
The Henderson one at Anfield at 1-0 last night. So
huge.
His confidence should be through the roof now. And if he's just nice and calm, collected, then he's a good keeper, because it is the other stuff that gets in his head. Yeah. You know, none of us questioned it early on in his Everton career. He was just a good goalie. Then the Liverpool thing got in his head, and then we noticed it at Newcastle when he was buying into the crowd. If he can keep the noise out of his head, maybe being a dad and everything else and seeing a psychologist, it's just literally now starting to make him think, I do have to concentrate here and switch on. And who knows? But it was a huge moment, and when Vestergaard missed it, you did kind of think, you know, maybe we will hang on here. But if we can just cut out silly things like unnecessarily giving corners away, so take the pressure off.
What I liked about it was there was only 3 minutes given, and yet it still ended up being 5 minutes. Tremendous.
Well, it was 6. It was 5:59, wasn't it? 95:59 when he blew his whistle, and that was
what did you make of like the subs situation in terms of bringing them on? Because he did seem very reluctant. Do you think that it just comes down to maybe the injuries that are there, and he's thinking, game on Thursday, I've got to be as, you know...
I was calling for subs because I thought we were really comfortable up until about the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes when naturally you do, when it's 1-0, you're getting beat. For them as well, it's, you know, did 8 games without the last game he won was Liverpool, wasn't it? Yeah. So it was 9 games before last night. So for them, they've been on a terrible run. If you're 1-0 down and you're on a terrible run, you're going to throw everything at it, because you may as well lose 3-0. You may as well lose 3-0. It's not like, you know, we're on a great run. If it's 1-0, we pick it back. They had nothing to lose. And I just thought we probably should have stretched them a little bit. I think I'd have took one of Gomez or Gylfi off and I was thinking put Josh King on the right and go 4-3-3 and just try to turn him a little bit. Or Iwobi. But listen, he's the manager. I personally would have changed it earlier just to try to get at them, but he's the manager and you've got to go with what he did. He put Iwobi on. Iwobi done well.
He did.
And then he put Josh King on for the last 5 because Richarlison had ran himself into the ground. And, you know, you got through it, didn't you? But yeah, I think I probably would have made a change. I don't know whether he was looking though and thinking, we're in control of it. If I put something on,
no, I know that's
it breaks the pattern of play.
That's always the thing, isn't it?
And because I think if we'd have been winning home games, I think he'd have made the subs. Even with the bench he had, I think he'd have gone, But I think he knew that something's got to change. 5 games without a win at home is atrocious for them.
And when there's games there that are really winnable, if we're confident and comfortable at home, you look at the teams we've got to face at home and think,
there's nobody.
We should be beating all of them.
Spurs will be a tricky game because they've got the goals, but so what? We can score goals, so we've 5 past them the other week. So, yeah, I think it's about, sometimes it's that mental aspect of just feeling comfortable at Goodison again. We haven't been, you know, and now, at least when we go into the next game at home, which is Burnley, we've won our last game and we kept the clean sheet. So it's gone. It's not like we haven't won at home for months. It's like we've won. We just won. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was just a case of if I make a couple of changes, it might disrupt the shape here. And I think he'd done it out of necessity, didn't he, in the end? And Iwobi, like we said, Iwobi did well,
didn't he? Let's just look at the stats from the game. 7 shots to 9, only 1 on target for each. 2 big chances. We actually lost the possession. That's a bit of a surprise. I thought we would have...
I think that's wrong, that 2 big chance. I think it's 1. They should have had 1. Vestergaard, I think, is a big chance. So it should be 2.
Didn't you do the stats?
I did, and I couldn't see that. I think it's 1 big
Okay.
chance. But yeah, no, we did lose the... We were ahead, and then we were behind by a bit, but it's better to lose the possession.
I don't like possession.
You know,
Possession's the enemy.
when the only game Everton have won with more than 60% possession this season, we've had it 6 times and we'd lost 5. And the only game we won with was West Brom. We had 72%, and we won 5-2. Yeah. But they didn't want the possession, and they were down to 10 men for like half of that game. So we don't like possession.
No, possession's the enemy.
Possession ruined us under Martinez.
It did. It absolutely did.
But no, listen, it was a huge win. It wasn't a great performance, and I've seen people on when I done my match reaction were like, I know, but you know, we don't play good football and we don't do this. And I know, and it is frustrating because in your mind you want to see this flow in a team that creates 25 opportunities a game. But at the moment, simply don't have the players. And I think what he's kind of done is he's looked and gone, which good managers do, by the way. What's the best thing we can get out of this squad? Yeah. You know, it's all right having a dream and going, we're working towards playing this 4-3-3 or this whatever. Great football, out from the back, triangles all up the pitch, and we're 15th. Like you said, Brighton. Everyone would be going, he's got to go. Not good enough, not good enough. Terrible manager, whatever. Wouldn't he? If we weren't winning games. Yeah. And it's like, I was sat there last night after the game thinking, because you do have that feeling of like not satisfied with the performance. You've won the game, but it's that bit of like empty win. But then I was thinking, yeah, but I could be sat here going, we were superb tonight and we got beat, or we drew. I'd know which one I'd rather have. And at the moment, it's about, if you keep putting points on top of points, you've achieved something. You can address it in the summer. You can go, right, look what we've done with this. If we actually had another midfielder who was like the core, and we had a winger who was quick on an attacking fullback, we could really challenge them because we've got the basis of a strong team. You put that into the mix, it changes. So we just...
3 points is 3 points. Nothing else really matters. Thursday is a brilliant opportunity to get 3 points and then, you know, again, keep ourselves within the pack, and that's all we can keep doing, isn't it? And we'll see what happens. Big game. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to watch the full version of this live, where we take your comments, join us on Patreon. The link is in the description and it's on the screen now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.